All right, so I just posted the picture of the guy that brought his book. I'm in there washing clothes. Like I told you, they between okay, so I had to say it like this. So everything, and I had to explain this in every freaking video I make, or if someone stumbles across my video, they won't have any idea what I'm talking about. They're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" All right, so all right, when it comes to the rain, Bill owns his bunch. Emmy owns her bunch. Mark owns his bunch. The police owns their bunch. Okay. Just want to throw that out there. Okay. So they have trained these cowards to quietly target legitimate men. Well, how do you quietly target someone? How do you target someone without it being obvious? So they have trained these cowards to target legitimate men such as myself through food, through needles. You know, they can gas you in your vehicles and put you to sleep. You go to sleep, motherfucker climbing there on top of you and poke you with a needle, give you hepatitis, give you HIV. They've trained, they have murdered. When I tell you a nation, a whole freaking nation of men, they have murdered them silently. Don't tell nobody. And they've been trained by the police. Okay. So let's say, and I'm giving you an example because this is exactly what happens. Like I've told y'all in my other videos, all of these truck stops, all of these stores, Walmart, your grocery stores, Food Line, might near everywhere you go is set up with motion sensors. And the rain are trained on these key movements. Walking in with a book bag that says Outfitters on it and setting it down. Using washing machine number 2. Using washing machine number 1. Picking your nose, tying your shoe. Every facility has different motions. And they have access to the information, what they need to do. Okay. Now what happens is, like I said, they're set up with motion sensors. So depending on what an individual does, trigger sensors. They got hazing machines on the inside that fuck up your air quality. They come in. It could be any motion. Okay. They come in. They set a book bag down that says Outfitters. They use laundry machine number 1, or this is merely an example. But what that is a eye trigger. And what that does is triggers the eye to come on, and it triggers these hazing systems inside of these fucking stores and stuff to come on. So you're sitting in here. This is an example. I'm sitting here washing my clothes, breathing in this fucking haze that's being released into the fucking air because one of these cowards have walked in with a bag. This is an example because I just posted a picture of the coward that walked in. Well, I posted a picture of the book bag where the coward walked in the laundry room and set down a book bag that says Outfitters. Who are they in a war against? Out. Because they're in, right? These programs that I keep talking about, right? So you're either in or you're out. If you're in, then the police is your God. Bill is your God. Emmy is your God. Mark is your God. If you're in, you have sold your soul to the devil. Okay, so you're either in or out, right? And if you're out, then they're in a full-blown war against you. You understand that? Okay. And that's the truth of it. So, what is it? Okay. What is it? Okay. Now, we go all the way back to the Bible. Okay. It is the truth. Okay. And if you read the Bible, you're going to find out when Jesus Christ spoke, he said it over and over again. Okay. And that's where Adolf Hitler's name came from. That's why they called him Hitler. Because Adolf Hitler knew the truth. And Adolf Hitler was trying to make arcs, so to speak, with blue eyes and blonde hair, so on and so forth, because he knew what the Bible said and he knew what the truth was, because it is the truth. Okay. And he knew that. Well, over here in this country, they hate it. IT. They hate it. They can't stand it. And they have made it a personal goal to kill it. Okay. So, what makes you an itter? Okay. Number 1, you're real. Number 2, you have blue eyes in your head. Okay. And number 3, you believe in Jesus Christ. Now you're an itter. Okay. Simply because you have blue eyes. You're real. What does it mean to be real? Okay. All these cowards have went through what's called a hormonal transformation. Between Bill, Mark, Emma, and the police, they have regened these cowards into who they want them to be. They have regened some white people into black people through, goddamn, you take shots and you turn black. Simple as that. If you're black, you could take a white man's DNA and inject it into that black man, and that black man will turn white. And over time, we'll start jail or you go to prison. You find out that that's what they force you into. Okay. So if you get charged with something, let's say you shoot somebody. Let's say you rape someone. They don't give a fuck what you done. It doesn't matter. There's no, this is hell that I'm talking about. They don't give a fuck what you done. These people have no soul in their body. They have no conscience. They don't care if you're a rapist. They don't care if you're a fucking pedophile. They don't care. So when you get there, you're going to find out what these programs are. And when you enter into these programs, there's a lot of them. They have beta. They have 211. They have a lot of fucking programs. Okay. But when you decide, okay, I'll go ahead and enter into these programs from prison, you're going to find out that they want you to regene. You're going to find out that they're going to give you a scripted role, a scripted life to live. They're going to give you a ready-made life. Comes with a vehicle, house, wife, kids, whatever they want you to have. Comes equipped with it. They're going to tell you who to be with. They're going to tell you who to sleep with. They're going to tell you who to marry. They're going to tell you what vehicle to drive. They're going to tell you where to go live. And you're going to live a scripted role. Okay? They're also going to regene you into who they want you to be. If they want you to be black, they're going to turn your ass black. If they want you to be white, they're going to turn your ass white. If they want you to be Chinese, they're going to turn your ass Chinese. Okay? That's called being in. Then you're in. That's what separates real from fake. Now you're fake. Okay? That's the difference of somebody real and somebody fake. Okay? So if you're real, such as myself, you hadn't went through any hormonal transformation. Okay? And if you are real, they are in full-blown war on you. Okay? So if you hear me saying, talking about somebody being real, that's what I mean by that. And that's the difference in somebody real and fake. If you are who you was born to be and you hadn't went through any hormonal transformation whatsoever, then you're real. Right? Okay? So when you hear me saying real, that's what I mean by, I don't mean real as in you a gangster and you real. And I don't mean anything like that. That's the difference in real and fake. Real is real is me. Someone who hadn't went through any hormonal transformation whatsoever. I am who God sent me to be. I'm a legitimate white man. And I haven't went through any transformation whatsoever. I have the same penis and balls and face and skin and everything that I was born with. Hadn't went through any transformation. That's what makes me real. Okay? This world is fake. The police have turned everyone fake. Okay? Understand that. With that said, once you do, or if you do decide to go through that little transformation and live that little scripted life, then you're in. Okay? And then they're going to train you to war on out people such as myself. Okay? So, I said that to say, that book bag that was set down in there said outfitters. What I just tell you itter was? Someone real. Someone with blue eyes. Someone that's white. Someone that's a man. Okay? And believes in Jesus Christ. Right? That makes you an itter. You're it. Right? Right. Okay. So for him to set that bag down right there, it says outfitters. That was letting everybody who was sitting out here in this parking lot on their phone eyeing me know he's out. He's an itter. He's out. Okay. That's number one. Number two is that's a trigger. This truck stop is set, cause no sooner than he walked in there, you could smell it. You can smell it when they start hazing. It's a stinking ass smell. But they also odor it differently depending on where you are. Some of it smells like marijuana. It just depends on where you're at. Some of them smell like cigarettes. And they will send people out smoking cigarettes and smoking marijuana to disguise the smell. Okay. You can always tell when they're hazing with haze that smells like marijuana, with haze that smells like cigarettes, because they'll send somebody around you smoking, or they'll send somebody around you smoking weed, smoking cigarettes or weed. And what that does is disguises the smell. And that makes you think that they think that that's what that makes you think is, okay, well, I'm smelling weed because that guy's smoking weed. Or I'm smelling a cigarette because that guy's smoking a cigarette. But that's called a disguise. They'll sit there and gas the hell out of you, and it's like a nerve agent. If you sit in it too long, you'll feel yourself start to shake, like, damn, like I'm getting the shakes. It's a nerve agent, but it's designed to take you out of your right frame of mind. Okay. And like I said, the gas stations are bad about odoring it to smell like marijuana, because 90% of the time you can find some old gangster to pull up at the damn gas station smoking weed to disguise, to create the illusion that you're smelling marijuana. You could be standing outside of a gas, because this has happened to me. I'm speaking on this because this has happened to me. Standing at a gas station, they decide to start hazing me. Well, then some old whoever comes pulling up smoking weed. They're designed to do that. Okay. And they're trained to do that. That's to make the individual such as myself who's being hazed assume that they're smelling marijuana, or assume that they're smelling a cigarette. Okay. Now, why do they odorize this haze? Okay. It's the same. All right. So why do they odorize haze? What they're gassing individuals such as myself with. Why do they odorize it? It's the same concept as why they odorize propane, so it can be clearly identified. Okay. They train the rain on these smells. If you smell this, get away from it. If you smell that, get away from it. If you smell a cigarette, get away from it. If you smell marijuana, get away from it. We're hazing. Okay. And people such as myself ain't supposed to know about that. Okay. So they're odorizing it so that the rain can clearly identify that they're standing in fucking haze. And we got to get out of here. We're going to be stupid here in a minute, because you breathe this stuff in. Like I said, it's a nerve agent, and it affects your train of thought. It takes you out of your right frame of mind. They've been doing this for a long fucking time. I can't stress enough to you that when these cowards enter these programs and coming out of prison, going into jail, whatever, when they enter these programs, they train these jokers. They send these jokers to school inside of the prison. And this is where they learn this at. Not only do they learn this inside the jails and prisons, they have software and stuff set up on their electronics, their computers, their phones, their tablets, so they can go in and study this stuff on the outside. So they know how all these things work. Okay? So they train them. Hey, look, simple as this. If you smell marijuana, get away from it. We're hazing. If you need to haze, do this, do that, do this motion, do that motion, whatever. All these eyes out here, these cameras, are set up on motion sensors. Depending on what an individual is wearing, it could be anything. What an individual is wearing, what an individual is doing, how many individuals there are, if the individual is walking a dog, if the individual had boots on, they could change these anytime they want to. They go right, so it could be anything. And they do change them. As I learn them, they change them. I learn them, they change them. Simple concept. They'll never outsmart me, though. It's impossible. You can't outsmart me. God sent me. You can't outsmart me. There's no outsmarting me. But that's besides the point. The point is this: what they're doing is illegal. And the plea between Mark, Emmy, the police, and Bill, they have trained them to get away with murder on camera, out in the open. Like they're seamlessly not doing anything. We're not doing anything wrong. He's in here washing clothes, and so are we. That's the way it looks to the naked eye, right? And that's why I'm here. It is my job to expose these cowards and make sure they have no more weapons. And I promise you, my hand to God, on my children's life, on everybody's life, I won't leave one stone left unturned. I won't leave one stone left unturned. I will end Bill's reign. I will end Emmy's reign. I will end the police, these war pigs. I will end them. What they're doing is illegal. But they have trained these cowards to murder legitimate men who refuse to go through a hormonal transformation. They have trained these cowards to get away with murder. And do you want better than that? If you are a legitimate man, either A, they are monitoring your device, your phone, your computer, your every device you have. When you pull into a parking lot, these cowards are notified on their phone. The minute you pull in, notification right to their phone. Bull's pulling in, man's pulling in, and these jokers go to war on you. Okay? If they're not monitoring your electronic, if you're so good with these devices that they can't monitor you, they put your ass to sleep and they have implanted you with a tracking device. I promise you. I promise you. Yes. These nays are disgusting, bro. These people are cowards, bro. And they are jealous of men. But I want you to understand, in a sense, where they're coming from. LL, if you're a man, has made them get their pecker chopped off and transform into a woman. And these women, he has made transform into men. So that's why they are jealous of legitimate men. Because they're like, we had to do this faggot crap. Why don't he have to do it? They made us do it. Why don't he have to do it? That's where their jealousy comes from. Because they were forced to do this. That's why they're jealous. Okay. And with that said, I have a small amount of sympathy for them. Because I understand where the jealousy comes from. Like, why did they make us do this? Why did they make us belittle ourselves? Why did they make, it makes them angry? Why did they force us to do this, but they won't force him to do it? And I'm going to answer that question respectfully as I can. You can't force me to do a damn thing. There ain't no making me do anything. It isn't because they didn't try. Oh, buddy, they tried. Oh, buddy, they tried. The whole time I was in prison and jail, they tried. Oh, they tried. They fed me things to make me so weak. I'm going to post a picture here in a minute. The day that I was released from prison, I weighed about and y'all know I weighed 260 pounds. I'm going to post a before and after. I went in at 260 pounds. I came out at about 150 pounds. Yeah, they starved me. They fed me things to make me weak. Like, I'm talking about super weak, like a little girl. And they even got me beat up while I was in prison. Got me beat the fuck up. I could fight. And in my right strength, I'm stupid. Man, I hurt somebody. But we're not going to win no war with these. We're going to win the war with this. But they got me beat up twice. Okay? Because I wasn't strong enough to defend myself. But they done that on purpose. They done that to try and break my spirit in hopes that they could turn me into a gay or a nay. Okay? They don't care which one. They don't care which one. If you want to be gay, that's fine. If you want to be a nay, that's fine. But they don't want you to be a man. All cops are nay-nays. They're either A, gay, or B, nay-nays. There's no men cops. They're either gay or nay. There's no in between. And that's why I have no respect for cops. I have zero respect for them. Because they force people into transformation. And that makes me sick to my freaking stomach. That is disgusting. And I'll do you one better than that. These male children that are being born into this world with blue eyes. The police are training these cowards to inject these so-called ARCs, these male children that are being born with blue eyes. The police are training these ICs to take these children and feed these children god awful things that messes with their mind. Okay. And what that, and they're going to put these children in slow classes, special ed classes, and they're going to raise these children up thinking they have mental problems. And the children are going to believe it because they're going to be like, man, I can't focus. I can't learn. They're going to think they have all these problems, and they're not going to know that their own parents are being forced to inject them with stuff and feed them stuff to take them out of their right frame of mind. And they're doing this under order of Bill and the police. They're making these so-called ARCs stupid, and they're doing it on purpose. I read three books. One of them was a Muslim book in prison. And that's what it taught them to do to bees. What is a bee? A bee has blue eyes. Okay. If you have blue eyes, you're a bee. If you're born with blue eyes, you are a bee. Whether you've sold your soul to the devil or not, you're a bee. You got blue eyes in your head, you're a bee, bro. That's what a bee is to hell. Okay. So I read 3 books in there where the police were instructing these cowards what to do with these babies when they are born into this world. And it went into detail, injecting them with hormones to make them weak so that they can. All right, let me explain to you something about a bee. A bee is strong. An ARC is freaking strong, buddy. When I tell you a ARC is a bad mother, woo, shut your mouth. They don't play, but they're good. They have good hearts, and they stand for the truth. Well, in these 3 books, the police, law enforcement went into detail as to what these ICs are to do with these baby ARCs when they were born into this world. And it would blow your mind to know the type of things that was in these 3 books. These jokers talked about sticking them with hormones, giving them stuff to make them gay, giving them stuff to make them interested in anal sex. I'm talking about food. I'm talking about hormones to make them attracted to assholes. What? Disgusting. Swear to God on my kid's life. Basically feed these jokers and inject these ARCs with things to make them commit hideous acts. I'm talking about lusting over women's or men's asses. I mean, nasty stuff. But you got to understand, these are nays and faggots that wrote these books. And that's the type of things that was in these books. Feeding these ARC stuff to make them interested in disgusting things. Fucking disgusting things. Okay? Basically, they're wanting them to commit a sin against God. Okay? If you're giving this child hormones and stuff to make them interested in God, awful things. Fucking, look, in one of the books, they went into fucking detail about, you know how I was just talking about DNA? They went into detail. They took 3 men from prison that were fucking serial rapists. They raped fucking women like repeatedly over and over again. One was a pedophile. And they extracted the DNA from these men. And they multiplied it like just hormones. You could do anybody's DNA that way. They multiplied it. And they was taking this DNA and giving it to these ARCs, trying to turn them into rapists and pedophiles. Yes. They want them to commit sins where they can lock them up in prison forever. Okay? But these ARCs are so good that they won't commit sins naturally. So they have to do things to take them out of their right frame of mind. Inject them with hormones, feed them. God, if you read the book of Revelations, Jesus Christ told Bill, he was speaking to Bill in the book of Revelation when he said, you fed my saints things sacrificed unto idols. What did he mean by that? Exactly what I'm telling you. Yes. This is the police I'm talking about. This is Bill I'm talking about. Bill Gates. That's LL. This is Mark Zuckerberg I'm talking about. This is Emmy, if I hadn't already said her name. The police. This is who I'm talking about. They're the author of most of these books. If they're not directly the author, they have their hand in on every one of them that is written. LL is their God. Bill is all of their God. Bill is Emmy's God. Bill is Ann's God. Bill is Mark's God. Bill is the God of hell. Okay, that's their God. That's the police's God. LL is their God. Starts acting up. Anytime I start talking about Bill, my phone starts acting up. The connectivity, all of a sudden, I don't have no connectivity. Get out of here. But anyway, he's the God of hell. That's their God. That's the police's God. Okay. So anyway, back to what I was saying. It's one thing to do something to an adult, but when you get inside these prisons and you get your hands on what these ICs are being taught to do to innocent children that are born into this world, if they're born into this world with blue eyes and they have a penis between their legs, they're legitimate boys. They have books on top of books on top of books instructing these ICs on what to do to these children. And it is disgusting. They are to try everything they can to turn these children into pedophiles, into rapists, into drug addicts. Any despicable, unlawful thing they could turn them into. And they start doing it at a young age. And they raise these children up thinking they got mental problems. They feed them stuff to take them out of their right frame of mind, to cause them to act crazy, to cause them to do all type of crazy. And they're trained to do it. They have books about this where Emmy teaches them to do these things to male children that are born with blue eyes, so-called ARCs. I said I read 3 books, but to tell you the truth, I read about 10 books that were pretty much along those lines. 3 were exactly those lines. But I read about 10 books that was touching bases on some of the same things. Yeah. This is the good old police I'm talking about. These people are sick. These people will take, you know right now, do you know right now, they are taking male children that are born, some of them, and turning them into nays, chopping their pecker off and giving them a vagina when they're first born. So this child never has an option to be a man. Vice versa. They're taking some of these little girls and sewing them a penis on and injecting them with hormones as they're raising them to look like a boy. Yeah, they're naying these children as soon as they come out of the womb. Do you think that's right? Do you think that's right? Now, who's allowing this? The good old boys in blue. Bill, Mark, Emmy. That's who's allowing this. Aren't they the ones that have all the power right now? And all the say-so? Well, yeah. Well, then who's to blame? Again, I ask, who's to blame? Don't you think they ought to be hung out in the streets? I do. I think they ought to be hung from the tallest tree. Better yet, I know. They ought to be, every one of them I name, including the police, need to be strung up in an oak tree somewhere. Like the Wild Wild West. They need to be pulled up in a tree somewhere. That's disgusting to do a child like that. That's disgusting to do anyone like that. Much less a freaking child. These people are sick. I'm going to bed. That's all I got to say about it. These are sick people.